Hey, my name is Jared Moon, and I'm part of a group of underground athletes you've probably never even heard of before. We don't rely on fancy equipment for training, and most of us don't even have gym memberships. In fact, our motivation comes from within. You see, we have jobs, families, and responsibilities, but we still have big goals, and they aren't getting achieved at a global gym. For that reason, we have to do things differently. Our training has to be smarter. We don't have every piece of equipment known to man or a ton of time to train, and we don't need it, because we are achieving amazing things without it. So how do we do it? If you ask your average personal trainer or gym goer, they'd call us crazy. Yet we're seeing results better than most every single day. And it's happening by blending mental training with physical training and becoming an athlete. What we call, and welcome to, Garage Gym Athlete.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, Jared Moon here. Welcome to the Garage Gym Athlete podcast. Joe Courtney is with us. What's up, Joe?
Hey.
And we have Kurt Law. Man, how you doing?
Doing good. How about you guys?
I'm good, man. I'm excited to hop into this one. So I'm going to let you take it away from here. If you want to give us basic intro, who you are, what you do, how you train.
So my name's Kurt. I'm from just outside of Atlanta in Georgia. I am currently an operations director for a Chick-fil-A restaurant. I just got into that. I was into law enforcement for about 4 years. I've got, for training wise, I've got a detached garage at my house. So it's like its own little place for me. I've been training there for about a year and a half in my garage. Before that, I was, when I got out of the police academy, I started doing CrossFit. I went to like a CrossFit gym. The owner was a Navy SEAL, so we did a lot of SEAL fit type workouts there. And then was there for about a year. Then I went to another CrossFit box, was there for almost 3 years. Then moved, got into a car accident, injured my back. So I was out for about a year. And then that's while I was out, I actually started building my garage gym, building up things, getting it together, moved into the house where I'm currently at. And once I started getting better, rehabbing, wanting to get actually back to work, is when I kind of came across Garage Gym Athlete.
Awesome, man. That's well, first off, I gotta know how big is that detached space? Because that's awesome. That's my dream, a detached garage. Haven't made it happen yet.
I don't know the square footage off the top of my head, but I can fit both of my cars in there and still work out. Like I have a whole extra space for for my whole gym. And then there's even there's a shower in there, and there's plumbing for a toilet. But I haven't got there yet. But.
Nice, man. You throw in like a steam room or something instead of a toilet. Or, I don't know if you need all the water.
You don't need a toilet.
Yeah, you don't need a toilet in your garage gym. I've never run across a time.
Yeah. It's like whoever built it was like got everything together and then just stopped. So I don't know what happened.
That's awesome, man. Well, cool. And so you started building up your garage gym, and where would you put yourself on the garage gym equipment? You have everything and anything, or just the bare bones?
So I've got a power rack. I've got about 400 pounds of bumper weights, barbell, bench, box, rings, and then I've got like a cheap little air bike. Only thing I feel like I'm missing that I still want is a rower. I've got kettlebells too. But the rower is like the last piece, I feel like.
The missing element.
Yes.
That's awesome, dude. All right. So tell me a little bit more about your injury.
So I just was in an accident and got rear-ended, hurt my back, got some injections in my back, physical therapy for about 4 months. And then I kind of just slowly started working my way up to where I'm at now. But it was about a good year of just not working out. Before that, I was doing CrossFit, but I probably wasn't as consistent. I was a police officer. I didn't have a lot of time. But I feel like where I'm at now, even despite, kind of a year setback, I'm better than I've ever been. And I'm right now about 2 years, back from the injury.
And did you find it hard motivation wise to go from that back injury to getting back into fitness and being more consistent?
Oh, for sure. I think it took about a year not working out and then a year working out to where I'm at now. And I've probably been the most consistent. Really, it's been this past year has been the most consistent I've ever been. But I felt like when I first started getting back in, it was just a lot of frustration where it was like, hey, before I could do, I could lift this much and now I can't even lift that much, or, hey, what's the even point of doing it? Like there was a lot of built up frustration there for sure.
How did you get back in? We have a lot of people that they have some injuries and some setbacks, and some people aren't. Maybe they're not sure how to get back in. I'm just wondering how for your injury, what did you do to like slowly either build the habit or even just work around the injury?
So for me, a lot of it was, I got cleared by a doctor, so I knew I was good to go. It was just taking the time and knowing what I was capable of. So when I started Garage Gym Athlete, maybe I didn't go as heavy on back squats this day, or maybe I didn't do that part of the workout, but just try to figure out another way that I could just make it work. So it's like, hey, I'm not going to do back squats today, so maybe I'll just do air squats, or something like that. Whatever it was, something a lot easier on my back, to where I just slowly built up strength, and then felt like, hey, I can do this now. I'm back in the game. It probably, it took a little bit of time, but I feel like there was a day where it just clicked and I was like, all right, I'm back. My back is good, and I'm good to go.
Knowing thyself.
Yes.
Now, I'm curious. So you had this career change. So what was fitness like? I know you mentioned CrossFit as a police officer, but maybe just time-wise, schedules-wise, what's changed for you in having switched careers?
So before, I was working 12-hour shifts, and when you work a 12-hour shift, it's pretty hard to get a workout in. And I was going to a CrossFit box too, so it was like the whole time I was working was the only time they were open. And then when I got off, they were closed. So I was working out about 3 days a week then. And then when I made this career change, now I get off. I work 5 days a week, but I get off at 3-4 o'clock every day, and I have the rest of the day to go. So right now I'm hitting 5 days a week consistently, and there's no other thing taking up my time like before, which is crazy. It's like you're in law enforcement. Hey, you need to be physically fit, but I just did not have the time, and then now I'm out of it. But I definitely have the time now.
Awesome, dude. And family? Do you have any family?
Yeah, I have a wife, and then we are currently adopting. So I should hopefully by the end of the year have a child.
That's
baby.
Awesome, man. Congrats.
Yeah.
All right, man. So what are some of your goals right now in being a Garage Gym Athlete? What are you looking to do, and how? I'd like to know kind of, you talked a little bit about that frustration of, I used to be able to do this. I had the injury. Now I can't do that. So maybe some goals you have right now and where you're at compared to, back then.
So goal right now, I just picked up a tri bike. I'm not quite sure if I want to do a triathlon, but I'm looking to maybe do like a duathlon type thing. I don't really have access to a pool, so that's something I'm wanting to do by the end of the year. Also looking into maybe doing like a Spartan race or something like that, just to go out there and see where I'm at physically compared to other people. Just some sort of competition is where I'm looking at right now. As far as consistency, frustrations, I think, sorry, can you say that question one more time?
Yeah, just like in comparison to where you were to now, have you surpassed where you were before your back injury, or are you around the same?
No, I'm definitely surpassed where I was before. I think this past year really just sticking with the programming. I mean, I think the past 6 months, I feel like I've missed days here and there, maybe just being sick, but like days where I'm physically able to go. I've been hitting the gym every day that I can, hitting those green dots. But I think also I've changed a lot of things in my diet. I've had that access to be able to do that. And I think a combination of all those things, I'm drastically better. I'm stronger. I'm faster. I was thinking about it the other day. I don't think there's a lot of things that I was better at then that I'm good at now. I can't think of anything. Before this injury, I was faster. I feel like I'm better than all those things than I was before.
Very cool. And so what was the nutritional shift or change that you made?
Wasn't all Chick-fil-A, was it?
Yeah, that's a challenge for sure. But for me, it's actually cutting out gluten. So I just no more bread, just cutting it out completely. That's been a big thing for me. Eating a lot more healthier foods, higher fat, not higher fat, but there's a lot more fruits, vegetables, having a consistent post-workout meal every day. I think a combination of all those things has been better. But the gluten thing is the biggest thing I've ever made, biggest decision, because that was crazy to me. If you told me a year ago I would have done this, I would have said you're crazy. I'm never going to do that. I love bread too much. Obviously love chicken too much, or fried chicken. But doing that is probably seeing the most significant change for me.
And what kind of change have you seen going gluten-free?
So I've lost about 10 pounds. I have an autoimmune disease, like something similar to Crohn's. That's been I've seen a big shift in that. That's one of the big reasons I switched, but a lot more energy. I can, like, I lost about 10 pounds. I feel better. It's kind of a hard way to just measure that, but I just feel better. I don't feel as weighed down. I've gone back actually a couple weeks ago, and over the weekend, I had 2 different meals with gluten in it just to kind of see how I was. And that Monday, whatever the workout was that Monday, I literally had zero energy to do it at all. And I felt like it was attributed to that. It was attributed to whatever I ate that weekend. So I think seeing that and seeing how that physically, like, impaired my body, it made me more motivated to continue this path.
That's really awesome, man. Joe, are you gluten-free?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm like gluten-free-ish, which is not gluten-free, but I don't eat a ton of gluten, but I also don't completely avoid it. But that's really cool, man, that you've seen so much change. I'm sure that, reduction in inflammation, you mentioned autoimmune disease are a really big deal. And we don't have to get too much into your autoimmune disease if you don't want to, but just did that start to affect your training?
So it's funny you say that, because I've always made it since I've had it I've been diagnosed with it almost going on 10 years. And I always kind of use it as an excuse, where it was like, hey, I don't feel well today. I shouldn't go work out. It's I've got this thing going on. So finally it took me, like, I don't even know where I can pinpoint it was at, but I decided I wasn't going to make it an excuse anymore. And if I didn't feel well that day, or if I had a long day, I was still going to go and make it work, and still work at it, and not let it affect me or let it be an excuse. Because, like, if you tell that to the common person, they're going to be like, oh yeah, I completely agree why you don't work out or why you didn't do this. But then I was just kind of tired of that, and I was like, no, I don't want to let this impair me any more than it already has. Not that it's completely awful, but you just have those good and bad days, and you don't ever know when they're going to come. But it's not letting those bad days affect you.
That's a really good mindset, man. I think a lot of people get it. I've talked about it on this podcast before. People get their problems and they love their problems, even if they don't actually love them. They love to have some sort of crutch, some sort of excuse. And it almost gets, as a coach or somebody, you're like, no, okay, I guess I'm not allowed to talk to you about that certain thing. But to see you take such ownership of it and be like, you know what, I'm not going to let it dictate what I can and can't do today. That's a huge lesson, I think, for anyone out there with any sort of issue. I primarily see it with, like, some sort of injury. Like, I see someone who get, like, a back problem like 10 years ago, and they're like, well, I don't back squat. Yeah, I hurt my back a decade ago. I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. And so that's really cool, dude. And now I want to transition a little bit here. I kind of get what you were doing, CrossFit. What did you train differently before you started doing CrossFit?
Honestly, before I started doing CrossFit, I started the police academy, and I played sports in high school. When I was in college, I didn't do anything. I was never severely out of shape, but I was just never really trained. So when I hit the police academy, I still remember this, like, the first day of the police academy, we had a bench and we had to see where we were benching. And I remember I couldn't bench 135. And I was like, there's no way I couldn't bench 135. And I think that moment right there motivated me to say, hey, I'm never going to have 40 people staring at me, looking at me, not being able to bench 135. So I think that started it. And we did a lot of CrossFit similar style workouts in the academy. So when I got out, the first thing I did was go hit up a gym and get after it. And I tried to go the Globo gym route, maybe a little bit in college, maybe here and there. I just never worked for me. I just couldn't stay concentrated enough. But pretty much training wise, it's really just been CrossFit and Garage Gym Athlete now.
Awesome, dude. And what's your favorite thing about our training?
So my favorite thing is, one, I have all the equipment to do it all. So there's nothing I can say, hey, I can't do this today. I have everything that I need. Two, I just like the building blocks. So, with CrossFit before, it was like, hey, you do this one day, you do this the other day. But I never really felt like I was really focusing on maybe my back strength or my back squat strength or my bench press any of that. Now I have consistent, every week I'm working on something to get stronger, but I'm also still have the, the Metcon style workouts or the AMRAP style things that can kind of, that I really kind of loved in CrossFit. But overall, like if I could go back or if I could change anything, like this programming right here is really what's gotten me stronger. The CrossFit got me in shape and got, my cardiovascular in shape, but this training is really what gotten me strong. And that's what I like ultimately about Garage Gym Athlete.
What you're saying is funny, is because it's taken me like a decade to prove that CrossFit is primarily a conditioning program. And because when I first ran into CrossFit, I was only doing bodybuilding at the time, bodybuilding style stuff at the Globo gym and whatnot. And then someone introduced me to CrossFit, and in most bodybuilding routines, you still have like a conditioning element. Like whether you're doing the Stairmaster, treadmill or whatever. And I was like, oh, this is cool. It looks like fun. Yeah, that'll be my conditioning. And so that's always kind of been how I looked at it, is like I'll lift and then I'll do some conditioning. Fast forward decade, we have our own process and everything like that. But it truly is a conditioning program. Get you good at breathing and sweating and burning calories. But there's, not much to it beyond that. But one thing I do want to ask you, having come from CrossFit to our training, is one concern we get from people is skill work. We don't do a ton of skill work. Do you miss that stuff in our programming?
I did at first. I wanted to go do snatches or, practice muscle ups or whatever it was. But then I've kind of lost that. Like I found more desire to really just, focus on the training that we've been working on. It's kind of all gone away. I spent a couple of Saturdays here and there where I would like practice maybe doing snatches just to get it out of my system. But now I don't know. I don't really miss it as much as I did at first. I think just staying with the program for long enough time, it kind of just fades away and you kind of forget about those things.
Now, are you an early morning exerciser or a afternoon?
Afternoon. Every once in a while, like if I'm off, I'll work out in the mornings, but I feel like I get the most out of everything if I'm in the afternoon. I'm just not awake enough in the morning.
Yeah. That's, dude, it's a struggle. It's been a struggle with me for like 3 years. It's like, I want to get up and train, and I do it for long periods of time. And then I'm like, I just know I could do it a little bit better if I just move this to the afternoon. So it kind of depends on where I need my performance certain days. All right, so I think I know the answer to this question, but how do you like training in your garage now that you've been doing it for a while?
I love it. It's awesome. I mean, I think I would consider myself an introvert, and I think I find my time in the garage just by myself is kind of my way to recharge. I'm getting the exercise part of it, but I'm also recharging. And I think that's the biggest piece of it. It's just kind of having that alone time every day where I know, hey, this is my time out in the garage. My wife knows to leave me alone. Not to leave me alone. She can come out and say, hey, if she wants, but I like, that's just,
you don't have a choice in that matter.
Yeah. Go away. I'm lifting. No. But yeah, I love it. I think I got the idea. I don't even know where I got the idea from, but as soon as I was able to make it work and we were like looking at this house, and I didn't even care what was on the inside. I just saw this detached garage and I was sold. I'm like, I don't care whatever's going on with the house, we're buying this house because it has this garage, and this garage is perfect for a home gym.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So briefly, my story. So we just moved back to Texas not that long ago, and Joe was kind of, I kept him informed of like houses we were looking at and stuff just because of the garage gym factor. And there was a house. It was the perfect house, detached garage. But the house, it wasn't quite big enough for the family, but we could have made it work. And it was just like, oh, we lost out in a bidding war, basically. So we had to buy the next house. So the secondary house, and this house is much bigger and nicer, but didn't have the detached garage. And so I'm just like, man. But I was the same exact mindset. I was like, okay, I know we have a family of 5 and we might not all fit, but it has a detached garage. So
that's why they made bunk beds.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right, man. So let's get to the quick fire questions. What's the hardest workout you've ever done?
So I'm on the fence about it. It's actually 2 that I've done. Whenever we had Broken Arrow last, that one, because I thought I didn't realize it was going to take as long as it did. And I wasn't going to put a time cap on myself. I said, hey, I'm going to complete it. So like, I thought I was hydrated. I thought I was ready for it, but it took me just under 2 hours, I think. And I was done. Like for like the next like day and a half, I had like no energy. I just was not hydrated enough, didn't have enough electrolytes. But then I also think about, we did Patriot not too long ago, and I was like, all right, I'm doing Patriot 135. And I don't think I've ever gotten to a dark enough place as I did in that 30 minutes. I didn't even finish. I think I got to like the 85th clean and jerk, but I got in such a dark place. It was like the Broken Arrow was just a grind, and I wasn't ready for it. But then the Patriot, I was just like, oh yeah, I can do this. And then halfway through, I was like, I don't know if I'm going to make it.
Yeah. Any workout that has a lot of volume, but also volume under certain time constraints and certain time windows are always tough, because it's like, okay, I can't dilly-dally because I'm just going to either make it worse or not make it. So I actually have to push it, but I also just can't blow it out of the water, or else I'm just going to die.
Yeah.
Versus Broken Arrow, it's like, okay, I can set a pace, and then slow and steady wins the race, and I'll be okay eventually.
But I think going in with what he said, that mindset thing of like thinking it's not going to be that bad, or thinking you're prepared, or not realizing how long something is going to take. So when I did my year of Murph the first time, I did an unvested triple Murph. Ridiculous. But I didn't calculate the fact that I'd be running 6 miles. I didn't register that in my head. I'd be running 6 miles on top of all those repetitions. And I remember I finished like the second Murph, and I'm going into the third, and I was just mad. I was just so angry that I was still doing this workout and how long it was taking. It was just so brutal. And it was because I was completely like, I didn't think about how long it was going to take. And like my whole Saturday is like going into triple Murph. All right, man. So in your opinion, what's the best activity for building mental toughness?
I think it's really, for me, it's just doing those Meet Yourself Saturday workouts. I think that's really what, not letting like, hey, seeing that workout on Monday and being like, all right, I don't know if I can do that, but just, focusing on it and just doing it. I feel like for me, has made me think outside of the gym too. And you see those things, hey, out of life, hey, I don't know, this might be too hard. Just going after it and just doing it. I feel like the Meet Yourself Saturdays is really my advice for that.
Awesome. Now, if you only have one piece of equipment to train with for the rest of your life, what would it be?
I would say a barbell. I think there's a lot you can do with it.
For sure.
So I'm going to take away the rower, because that's too easy of an answer for you. But if you could add one piece of equipment to your gym, what would it be?
So one thing that, if you take away the rower, the next thing would be, so I have like 16-foot ceilings in the garage, and I know we don't program these, but I do like rope climbs, because it's like, they're kind of deceiving, and just doing like a couple of them can wear you out quick, and they're just kind of fun. So probably add a rope at some point.
Let's go with the first.
Could not agree more. They are incredibly deceiving. All right. What is the best advice you have for all the garage gym athletes out there?
So we kind of touched on this a little bit, but I would say, especially when I was getting back into after injury, it's like you hit something, you kind of not picking and choosing the days that you work out, or, hey, I'm going to take a rest day, but then going after it and being like, hey, I may not do all the workout today. I may just do one part of it, but just going out there and actually doing it. I think that starting off, that's what's made me the most consistent, because I found myself going out there doing part of the workout, being like, okay, I can do it. But then eventually I was like, well, I'm already out here. I might as well do the whole workout. So I think just getting in that initial mindset of, hey, I may not do the whole thing today, but I may just to get your foot in the door and get started, just go out there and just do something, it'd be my biggest advice.
Great, man. All right, Kurt, it's been a blast, man. I know I love having you as a garage gym athlete, and I enjoyed having you on the show. Until we catch up next time, man. Thanks for being on.
Thanks, guys.